It don't matter if it's a board this long or if it was a 12-foot board. It would draw the board in and it would actually read the back end of the part, no matter how long it is, and it would start cutting off of the back end. Like here's a good example. There's just a piece of scrap that's all chewed up. And up here on this measuring, there's a value right here that can be changed. All that is the amount of trim cut that it's going to take off of the back side. So this thing being 33 inches and kind of rough on the end. Now I come down here and this is the same as the fixed bench. There's a whole lot of values here, and you can set this up with different numbers you might be using. And the length of this piece here, if I wanted some pieces 8.5 inches long, and I wanted 3 of them with 1 inch of trim cut, what this is going to do is this is going to take this part, pull it in, read the length even as rough as that is, take a 1 inch trim cut, and then cut 3 pieces at 8.5. There again, hit the stop, second button down. That's going to grab this and it's going to draw it all the way in past, and it's actually reading the end of that. Now it's taking 1 inch off the end, and the machine will stop right there and wait for you to take that. It's waiting for you to take that piece out of there, that end cut. And if you wait long enough, a message is going to pop up on here saying trim cut stop. And that's just getting you where you can get in there and take your trim cut off. And then there's different things. Then you can hit your upper button, and that's going to... You can also use this bar, the bar down below. Now that'll cut the 3 pieces at 8.5. Yeah, now it's doing its 3rd cut. And the nice part about this, we're doing small quantity, is there's my 3 parts at 8.5, but this is also telling me that there's just over 6 inches of usable material in there. I could come down here to this 3.5 and hit this bar again, and now it's cutting a piece. Now it's cutting a single piece at 3.5. Same thing, there's a piece and it didn't let go of the clamps because it's still thinking it can cut a little small piece out of this and need it. But we're going to abort right there, happy what we're doing. And we're going to hit this button again. And that's going to release that part out of the clamp. Now if you want an application where, so most of the time we do back cut and cut everything off the back side. If there was some reason where you didn't want to cut off of the back side, you wanted to cut off of the front side, we can come up here and go from, now by clicking this here, measuring Z, and I'm going to say we want to take a 1/2 inch trim cut on the front, and then we'll cut it. We'll do our. There again, the same values we had before, but now I'm telling it I want to cut 8.5, but now instead of taking a trim cut here, it's looking to take its trim cut up front. Well, you know what? I'm going to put that back to that same. So right now this is set up identical to that other one we just did, except this time here it's starting there. So this piece is coming off as our drop. Now it's going to cut to 8.5, and our 1 inch left is up there. So now it's done. It released the clamps. This light isn't on, indicating that it's done what it's doing. So now there's our 3 8.5s, and then there's our 1 inch trim cut. So you can work from both sides of the board depending on what you're doing. So those typically, for us being a job shop, small quantities, pretty much that is what, to go back to the fixed fence. Yeah, for cutting just laminate, I'm going to go back to the fixed position. I'm going to use the mouse and come over here with the mouse. Fixed position, and we'll cut a piece 65. Now for cutting laminate, we don't let the clamps grip the laminate because it'll fracture. So what we do is we hit our button, and that just positions the fence at 65 inches. Then we slide this up, and on the bigger pieces, the laminate will fall down into the rollers. So we're going to want to come on this side. One thing we have to be careful of, it's real common for the laminate to come up and hit here. We want it up into the clamps. That's why, unless it's something close enough to the fence that we can visually see it hitting here, because with the rollers, especially on a wider piece to hit all the clamps, it wants to come up and hit at the foot of the clamp rather than up inside. So we always come around back and make sure it's up inside